Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Another legendary player retiring it from professional Call of Duty, but in their announcement to it longer, once again kicking off this discussion that gets kind of heated about the top players in Call of Duty history. Very much enjoying your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Videos to the channel, thank you very much indeed for doing that. First of all, we looked at yesterday briefly this from Huke, signing a contract somewhere or other. Afro's kind of like, yeah, maybe it's going to be some sort of UK team. It could be London, of course. Huke is like, yeah, not the case. Of course, we did talk about the rumours maybe for going to the Toronto Ultra just yesterday. This also from the subliners, own a piece of New York history. I know that New York are quite like up to date on the kind of like, I don't know, the latest technologies and this type of thing. They're doing some sort of NFT 2021. I don't exactly know what this is going to involve. I thought it was kind of interesting that some of the moments are going to be, you could potentially own it. I obviously don't know exactly how this is going to progress, but yeah, apparently coming soon, NYSL NFT 2021. Always mixed opinions on stuff like this, but you know, if there's different ways for organizations to actually make a profit within this league, then fair enough, to be honest, because it's not so easy to make a profit nowadays with well, these teams and the power that Activision has and all this type of stuff. This then from a Yuli Aqua that he announces yesterday announcement, read and well, we'll dive into it here in just a second. But yeah, officially announcing his retirement from Call of Duty. A legendary player, a fantastic career really over many a year. This is what he dives into. I mean, look at this absolute massive wall of text that lies in front of us. But there's a lot really in here about his career and his history and how he made it to become a professional player. I think that just at the end of this, as he says, like, I'm a risk taker, always have been. For me personally, it's never too late to work on yourself and be yourself because life is really short. I'll soon be ready for something different, which is stream every day. So if any teams need a content creator when the new Warzone comes out, I would love the chance to show you all who I am and be about the grind. I've always loved Battle Royale games, and that's the route I'll be taking, but I'll also love to stick in the comp scene. If any teams need an assistant coach, I'll be willing to take any opportunity that's given. I love watching Call of Duty in general. Always going to love it. Best of luck to the people still competing. Don't make any excuses on why you lose. Be better, just get better. So there was a tweet I saw recently that came out from Aqua saying really that he like shouldn't have taken this kind of minimum salary contract over at the Paris Legion last year. Like he could have done better if he did elsewhere, like, you know, do what Waskin did, for example, and gone down the streaming route a little bit earlier. But he got one more year as a player. Honestly, at the start of this season, I thought he was very, very good as the main assault rifle. We've seen for many years really Aqua in Call of Duty has been such a force. I think throughout his career he's been somewhat underrated, to be honest. We can see back here, way back in Advanced Warfare, when he really first came on the scene on this Team Revenge squad. They came second at the World Championship completely out of nowhere. Remy Nagafen, Facento, and Aqua. And over the coming years, especially in Black Ops 3, this Elevate team was very solid around Anaheim, Orlando, like they really mixed it up. And then during Infinite Warfare as well, winning the Las Vegas Open right at the start of that title, when I'm pretty sure they were using the OSA at the time, if you guys remember that one. But the last couple of years hasn't been quite so good, but he's been around some difficult squads. But I think in general, he's been a very solid main assault rifle for a number of different teams. Pretty aggressive player, and really difficult to see him fall out of the league, because I think he was certainly deserving of a spot on Paris Legion, of course, last year, and didn't really work out there, and it kind of makes sense why a lot of those players are going to find it, well, a difficult time getting back into things. It's also kind of interesting to me that like Aqua's not really considering the challenger side. I think it definitely makes sense, right, though, for a lot of these pro players that the challengers and that kind of tier 2 just isn't set up in such a way that it kind of lends itself to these kind of OG players, because the fact of the matter is you're really just not going to get picked up, right? Teams are going to take a chance on younger guys, especially if there's no expansion coming in, as there is not, and there's not too much money to be made. So I understand it, right, from their perspective, like let's just not even bother with challengers in the tier 2, and let's just go straight into some other thing like content creation, you know, just straight up retirement or becoming an assistant coach or something. I think it makes more sense right now with the way the challenger setup is made, which probably is not exactly the best sign if some of the players falling out of the league are just not even willing to go down to that tier 2. So probably some more investment and thought about that needs to be made from the CDL side, but also of course in that announcement that he did at the bottom here, he also did his top 5 players of all time in my experience, and these are the 5 he goes for. Clayster, which this is like an incredibly like spicy hot fire take, to be honest. So number 1 all time is Clay, number 2 is Karma, then Crim, then Scump, and then 5 he goes Simp or aBeZy. So none of the other like Aches, Formal, JCat, these type of players that could be up there. You know, is Simp or aBeZy as number 5, which this is like one of the hottest take lists I think I've ever seen in my life, to be honest. Probably like 60, 70, 80+% of people would put Crimsix number 1, and if not, they're going to put Scump there. Clayster number 1 is like, obviously, look, Clay's won 3 World Championships as well, and has also been a phenomenal player for many a year, but he did have that incredible like 1400-day drought through like the entire Jetpack era, really, after Advanced Warfare, where he didn't really have a victory at all, which definitely kind of lowers his stock maybe in some people's estimations. Karma also above Crimsix is kind of a hot take, given Karma retired over a year ago now and doesn't have anywhere near the amount of championships that Crimsix has won. But there's so many other ways to look at it. So anyway, pretty hot take. One of the first times I've ever seen Clay at the top of a top 5 or truly top 30 or top any list in terms of Call of Duty history. And therefore, as he says, might be the best gas. I appreciate you, pal. Wish you nothing but success in the future. And similar comments here really from JCap. Definitely one of the most underrated players from a year. Best of luck with what you do next. So definitely a great send-off here from a number of the pro players, former pro players, Slasher as well. Damn, sucks to see you go. Already know you're going to run the Battle Royale scene. So, and to be fair, could be a lot more money to be made over there than especially playing in Challengers and even playing for the Paris Legion in the Pro League, right? If you're only making the minimum salary of just over $50,000 for the entire year. This attach, all these players retiring really hits you in the fields. There's been so many players retiring as of late. Formal, of course, stepping away. Apathy, now Aqua as well. Method's kind of hinting it as well, but we don't believe that'll be the case. You're supposed to be the one to unite the country. The Washington stuff, we'll talk about that a little further on later today. But this also from the flank. So talking of the top players of all time, of course, that pretty hot take really with Clayster being number 1. But Zuma comes out and does his top 30. I wonder how much this was influenced by kind of what Ben did, because all these top 30s, they're going to be difficult to make. But maybe some of the similar issues that we saw with Ben's list are kind of creeping into this one as well. So it's, again, a kind of some hot takes on here. So the top 6 I actually quite like. Crimsix, Scump, Karma, Clayster, Formal, Aches, and then, okay, I think that's about fair. Like I said the other day, that probably Aches on his career, just for now, should probably be above Simp and aBeZy. Another year doing what Simp and aBeZy do, they should probably get into, 6th or maybe even higher. We'll have to see. The Jacob at 10 to be I think Teep deserves to be around about this point. From my perspective, the top 10 until Simp, aBeZy and these guys kind of came on the scene was always kind of Jacob, Teep, and then Slasher and John were just about there. I think the Slasher has been really underrated in these lists personally. If you think about when Slasher came on the scene from Advanced Warfare when he was fantastic, he wasn't fantastic in that game, and Black Ops 3 he wasn't a top 1 player, but he was top 5, top 10, especially in terms of assault rifles. Through the entire Jetpack era, Slasher was certainly a top 3 AR. I would say top 2, right behind Formal. And during World War II, for example, I think he was the best AR in the game. And even this year in Cold War, of course, the last year or so hasn't been great. Modern Warfare hasn't been great either. But disregarding the last couple of years, and this is an all-time list, Slasher's pretty much been a top 5, top 10 player every single year that he's competed. Won many championships during World War II and even before that, and of course winning the World Championship in Black Ops 3. So I think that Slasher, for my estimation, has always been around the top 10 range. Recently, maybe with Simp and aBeZy and these guys coming into play, maybe he drops down to 12th, but I think that any lower than 12th is probably underrating Slasher to some degree. The Jacob at 10th to me is kind of a big surprise, because Jacob has been around so many years since Black Ops 1, and maybe you're not considering that to be quite as high. And of course, you guys can check out the rest down here. It gets really difficult and really mixy, as I'm sure they'd say on the flank after 15. Still, Cellium at 14th. I'm not sure how exactly you're justifying that, but I guess this recent FaZe team is considered to be such a dominant team within a difficult era that they get very highly rated. It depends on your perspective, of course. It's very difficult to make these lists be particularly good, but yeah, things are, people certainly aren't happy with these lists every single time they come out. Jacob at 10th is Adam Killer Sloss, for example, one of the original world champions back in 2013, says, where's Rambo, Merc, or Big Timer? Right, I'm pretty sure Merc did make it actually here at number 27, but yeah, Rambo, for example, he could well have been there. I don't know if he got an honorable mention right here or whether he didn't, but yeah, okay, Rambo, I'll give you that, says Zuma. Big Timer as well, right, considered to be, the GOAT for some time when he was Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 1, winning all those tournaments, and doesn't seem to get the respect in these modern day lists. So yeah, Killer isn't particularly happy about it, and Azuma says Big T was only in Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 1, Merc is on the list, Rambo, I'll give you that one there, and Big T played COD 4, all the way to Ghost. Oh well, Big T, maybe he played one Ghost event and then he retired or something. I personally think the early era of COD doesn't compare to today. I don't know, people lose full when I say that, but I will stand by that opinion. So Killer not particularly happy. It continues as well with Hitch saying cap in double digits, I click off, and it doesn't really give a good reason, Hitch, but I think you could give a very good reason why JCap should still be above Simp and aBeZy, for example, just because he also won 2 world championships, but also did that over many different titles on many different rosters and so many different organizations. And I just think longevity, to me, longevity is such an important factor in these lists that maybe isn't getting particularly well highly rated, right? A guy like Cellium, really only been around 2 years. To put him 14th seems overrating it to me. And Simp and aBeZy, Arcitys, yes, they all have won 2 world championships between them, but still, they've only really been around 2-3 years. I think compared to guys like JCap and aBeZy, JCap almost competed for a decade. It's pretty astonishing to think about, but of course, it's all personal opinion at the end of the day. Azuma says, people take these lists so seriously when they're literally impossible to make. Different eras of COD, gun skill, smart, accolades. What exactly are you counting when you rank players? And if you count everything, good luck making a list where every player has their plus minus. It is a team game, right? Because of course, it's not just about the individual players. Rambo Ray has an interesting take here or share at the end of the video when he's kind of yeah, I don't think I deserve it, but you should really look at which players were MVP status, as opposed to some of these other factors which might be less important. So it's certainly difficult to say. Ramo has his own opinion. Everyone seems to have their own opinion on this at the present time. This also from Yeez, just as we were discussing a little bit earlier, when we were kind of like, look, maybe Challengers is just it's not set up perfectly. If a lot of these pro players, of course, Yeez right now is substitute for the Mutineers. Like if he's not particularly keen on doing it anyway, he wants to, I suppose, be a starting roster player for the Mutineers themselves. And I wouldn't be surprised if he gets his opportunity with that roster not looking particularly solid, in my opinion, with Havoc Awakening, Skies and Dev Paddy going into next season. This also from Lisa Marie, Zed's fiance, I believe. You know, shame how CDL Challenger League is seen as a worse fate than even retiring. Like back in the day, that might not have been the case, but that certainly seems to be nowadays. And just to finish off with this from Round 11 Stats, thought was kind of nice. A little throwback to the Cold War season. Hardpoint kill records per map for the entirety of 2021. Apocalypse was Cammy with only 35. Kind of crazy to think about how slow that map plays. Same with Raid Ready with only 35 for Bance. And then Checkmate and Garrison both held by Mack Melter 40. And Skies and Assault both with 34, the lowest of the lot on Moscow together. But very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm. Like you enjoyed this content, other people like you may enjoy this content as well. And I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you much as always. Take care. And I will see you next time.
Rebel Ray, please don't hurt me.
What's good? Bro, I'm not here to hurt you. We're here to chat. I'm here to open your...
Hey, Ray, I probably should put you on the list. You're the only one.
I don't deserve to be on the list.
You don't think so?
Honest. I don't think so.
How many chips you got? How many chips you got?
Think of it this way, right? Like, I think there's a huge misconception of what makes a player a top player. So if we're talking about like a COD list of all time, like if we're talking like a strategist or like an IGL, like
that's what I said. That's what I said.
Like if we're talking the criteria is the ability, like in my opinion, the top 30 should be like how good is this player in terms of like MVP status, right? Like can this guy is the full deal, right? Like he's won a lot because he's been on teams. He's helped those teams win a lot. He wasn't just part of the show. Like this guy, this player in mind is a player who's able to like do it all.
Yeah.
So